Hi, everybody. Welcome to Adventures in Pod. I'm your host, Ryan McGinnis. I'm an author, I'm a web designer, but I'm also the owner of a t-shirt shop on Etsy powered by Print on Demand. Now, I call it a t-shirt shop, but but it's kind of funny. This week I added some coffee cups to the mix, so we actually have more stuff than t-shirts. I guess we always have. I mean, we've had bags, we've had a few bags that I put on there when I first started, but now we've got coffee cups too. So I don't know. I own 217 Press. That's how I'm just gonna have to start saying it. I can't say a t-shirt shop or a mug shop or whatever. I've got an Etsy store that is powered by Print on Demand. I created this podcast so we could all go on the journey together. And I talked about last time that it is very much a marathon and not a sprint. And this time I was thinking about it, and real life experiences. That's what all this is about. I mean, what the gurus don't tell you, what a lot of people don't tell you is that doing an Etsy store, doing print on demand, it's not passive income. To call it passive income is very, very deceptive, because you have to put work into it. And part of the work you put into it, I've seen a guy, and I get his point, and I do agree with him, that the best marketing you can do for your store is to put a lot of products up there with good SEO, because the good SEO will pick up momentum and people will see your stuff. And I do agree with that. But that whole thing is also prefaced on the fact that he wants you to buy or participate in his bulk uploader, his bulk product uploader, so I mean, that's why he pushes you on the, you have to do, because you can market it that way, but you have to put like 1 million products up. But that brings me around to my point this week. I've been really good about putting up products every week. Most recently I did a launch of what I call bookish shirts, and these are all books that have to do, or shirts that have to do with books, with reading, with like Fourth Wing, Onyx Storm type stuff. I'm using my wife as like my marketing group here, because my wife is absolutely a consumer, and she loves books, and she loves Fourth Wing, and she loves all the romantic-y smut type books, whatever. I'm more into thrillers myself, but I thought I'd create a line of shirts because it's pretty fun. And I put that out. And last week I had meant to do a line of coffee cups and, coffee mugs. It's easy. I've already got the designs. I just need to slap them on some mugs, do some mock-ups, put them online, blah, blah, blah. Same as it ever was. But we ran into a major problem that I didn't see coming. And that was that my mother-in-law was coming to town on Tuesday, and she came to town, and that's cool. It's good to see her. It's a good visit. It's always weird when you're used to just living here with just us. We don't get that many visitors, so it's always kind of weird when we get a visitor, because we're used to just, we're here, we have our things, we have our weird schedules. But she was here, and it was good. The problem was that it completely threw me off my routine. It completely threw me off my schedule. And I'm probably going to talk about this on my other podcast too, because it did affect my author business. But it absolutely affected me because it got me off my routine. Because, if you're like me, one of the secrets to success is being consistent. And being consistent is, getting your routine, setting your processes, doing it to where it's not even a thought. Like, you don't even have to think about it and wonder what you're doing. You're like, okay, it's Monday. This is what I do on Monday. It's Tuesday. This is what I do on Tuesday. And you just keep doing it. And that's cool until you have company in town. And that messes things up. My podcast last week came out on Tuesday instead of Monday. This one will probably come out on Tuesday instead of Monday, because we're still just kind of trying to stagger things back in. We're trying to get back on the schedule, but most importantly, it it threw me off when I'm supposed to put products up. And so then finally, late in the week after she's left, this is last week, so I'm already a week behind putting products up. But, she leaves, and I'm like, okay, cool, I'm going to get on Printify and I'm going to upload my products. And Printify's changed some stuff. And for some reason, Printify was being really slow that day, so I didn't get them all uploaded. And so then, Friday rolls around. I'm like, all right, I'm going to do the other half of this. But I was also running behind on other work because she had been in town. And so, you see how this goes. It's like an avalanche. It's like an avalanche. And to top that off, I didn't have a good week last week with marketing, once again, because family was in town. So I wasn't online as much, wasn't putting out ads. I did have stuff scheduled. Because I do schedule like Facebook post, Pinterest post, all that stuff. I schedule that. So that stuff was still going out, but I didn't feel like I had a lot of momentum last week. I didn't feel like I had a lot of shop visits. The video numbers weren't that good, and so it's real easy. It kind of fell me into like a mini rut there. For a few days. And that's the thing about it. When you lose momentum's such a tricky thing. It's like a high wire act. It's like when you're doing it and you feel great. Like 2 weeks ago, I would have been like, I'm on top of the world. We launched the podcast. We've got the brand. Everything's going good. But then like fast forward like a week and you've lost all your momentum, or 2 weeks in my case. You lost your momentum, and it's hard because once you lose it, it can be really hard to regain it because we tend to be our own worst critic. That voice in your head. You can, everybody's always had, in the old cartoons, you had the devil on one shoulder and the angel on the other. And I think with me, sometimes it's more just like devil on both shoulders. I can't freaking talk. A devil on both shoulders sitting there going, "You suck." And all that negative talk in my head really makes it hard because, when you're doing good, that voice hangs back. It's like, well, he's doing good. He's not going to listen to me, but the minute you start losing momentum, that voice comes around. It's like, you suck. You're not as good as you think you are. You don't know what you're doing, and it's really hard. It's really hard to stop those negative thoughts from getting in your head, but you have to ignore them. You have to ignore those negative thoughts because if you're good when you're good when you're not good. You know what I'm saying? Like the you that you are when you're super positive is the you that you are when you're negative. It's just, things don't always go right, and you have to give yourself grace. You fall behind. You're not going to want to do stuff. You're not going to want to, dig yourself out of the hole because after a while stuff starts piling up. Like the longer you're out of the loop, the more stuff piles up and you get overwhelmed and you just don't want to do anything. And that's when you really spiral, and you can't let yourself do that. You have to give yourself grace. I don't know what works for you, but I know what works for me. You have to give yourself grace. You have to give yourself time to rest. And then the second thing you need to do is you need to make a list and you need to prioritize and you need to get on it. Like this week, of course I have work scheduled for today. I have stuff scheduled that was scheduled for today. I took a bunch of that stuff and pushed it off to tomorrow because I'm like, I have to play catch up. So by playing catch up, I prioritize this stuff. I prioritize the podcast. I prioritize getting my products online. I do that first, and then I get to the stuff that was scheduled for this week. And it's all good. In most cases, there's not a hard deadline. If there is, you have to work with it. But otherwise, my advice to you when you lose momentum, and I don't care what you're doing. I don't care if you're doing your print on demand shop. I don't care if you're doing your author business, your day job, whatever, is when you fall behind, don't fall prey to the negative thoughts. Remember that you are a good person and that the person that you are when you're doing good is the person you are all the time. And just because you fell behind, just because life got in the way, that's how it is. A lot of these guys out here act like nothing gets in the way. They're super, hey, just follow my tips and you can, make, $1.4 million in the next 12 months. Whatever, I think, if you fall behind, don't fall for the self-doubt. Don't fall for all those negative thoughts. Just make yourself a list and prioritize. But also rest and give yourself time to get your mind clear and to get your body rested, because that's the only way you're going to be able to get through that stuff. So I am working. I'm not caught up yet, but I'm working on it. And I wanted to do this podcast and talk about it because it had, I feel like other people out there will have this problem too. So, my advice is give yourself grace, take time to rest, make a list, prioritize, and then as much as possible, the most important advice I can give you is to be consistent. Get yourself get yourself a list, get yourself a routine, get yourself a habit, build those habits, do it over and over and over. And I know that'll seem boring. I know that'll seem like I'm just doing the same thing over and over, but you can get there. Every journey begins with one step. That's the secret. So that's the show for today. If you guys enjoyed it, give me a like, a subscribe, hit the notification bell so you'll be notified next time we do a podcast, which I'm doing them weekly right now. If I had time, I'd do them more than weekly, but I might do some, I can't think of the word right now. I may do some other videos like that aren't podcasts and just stick them on the channel when I get a chance. But anyway, thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you guys so much for listening and watching. And I hope you guys have a great week. Hang in there. And if you have any questions, please put them in the comments. I'll answer anything. I'll help you as best I can. So you guys have a great week and we'll talk soon.